Back to our old friend Carillion, and I think this is a fascinating example in hidden debts. If you look at a lot of companies, they will tell you about net debt particularly, and a lot of people will calculate ratios on things like net debt to EBITDA, net debt to cash flow, net debt to equity. So if we look in 2016, balance sheet net debt was just over 200 million, and on a net debt to EBITDA, which is, I know EBITDA's got its critics as a number, but in terms of how people measure debt, 0.6 is not a particularly high figure and doesn't suggest that there's a problem. Then you start digging a bit deeper and you look at the hidden debts. So, and these are all disclosed in the annual report. So they tell you that the average debt is 370 million or 367 million higher than the closing net debt. There's a pension fund deficit of 800 million, and basically pension fund deficits are essentially debt-like liabilities. You have lease debts, which are all going to start coming onto balance sheets from the 1st of January next year, of around 400 million. You have joint venture debt, because on the balance sheet, only the net asset of the joint venture is actually shown, the debt is not, of 370 million. And then you've got things like deferred consideration for acquisitions, promises to pay funding into public-private partnerships, and instead of having 200 odd million of debt, you've got 2.3 billion. And actually, if you look at the adjustments on things like the ratio of net debt to EBITDA, I mean, a company with low margins like Carillion shouldn't really have a lot of debt, but it actually had shed loads of it. Net debt to EBITDA, if you do the profit adjustments and do the balance sheet adjustments, was nearly 7 times. And, you know, any city analyst, in my opinion, being paid 6-figure salary following Carillion should have been doing this kind of stuff. And to their credit, a couple of them were.